Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you Friday, December 27th. The year's 2019. Let's talk trading. Time for the weekly wrap up. Do I need to say it? I know this week each of you have used stellar money and risk management in your trading, right? Of course. And you all know that these videos are for educational purposes only, and your results may differ from mine, and that trading's very risky. So if you need financial advice, investment advice, trading advice, seek it from an accredited financial professional. That way, if you take their advice and lose your money, you know you got the advice from an accredited financial professional rather than some guy you heard on YouTube or read about on some trading forum on the internet. Okay, disclaimer out of the way. Once again, for those just tuning in, all the weekly gaps filled. The distance between that Monday open price and that Friday close price, that's the weekly gap. Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's small, but it's all filled. Now, yesterday, if you remember, the dollar yen was up here, actually barely breaking through the previous week's high. But as you can see now, it's exited the upper wick zone of the previous week's candle. And we're sitting right back at the weekly open. And for the year, we're down 25 pips. You see, once again, we broke above that yearly high. I had this set to the month. But we broke above it yesterday, but couldn't hold it, and it fell back down. Now, notice, this is the open, this is the close. There was a gap, you know, that Christmas holiday gap. But see, it's funny because this is the 27th, this is the 26th, this is the 24th. So I'm wondering what happened when we got that gap. That was huge. And today we broke out of that opening day, Monday's high. See there was pips to be made, and now we're right back down to the actually down to the weekly open and 9 pips below the daily open. But you see, we're still in the first day of the month's range and first day of the year's range. Now, for those of you who like to trade that weekly open, you see here we open. We were just crisscrossing, and then finally yesterday we had an explosion to the upside, and then we came right back down. Inside bar traders were rewarded once again. Only 5 or 6 pips, but it's still a reward. On the range today, we've got 6 over 100, which is pretty surprising. Fortunately, dollar yen's only clocking in at a range of 20. And you can see here off of that H1 highest open, it's dropped down, about 20 pips. And it just put in the H1 lowest open. And you can see the pivot point was near the open, and we easily took out that pivot. Rat zone, the pound's been moving up this week, 2 days in a row green, and now the red rats are starting to feast a little bit there. On the pivot, we took out that pivot. Now, I was thinking about something here on the pivots. You know, we show how we hit the pivots, but I was thinking I should show the weekly pivots and just kind of go through here. So you see we hit the pivot there on the euro. We took out the weekly pivot. On the Australian USD, we did not hit the pivot. We missed it. On the pound yen, the beast, we actually missed the pivot there. On the pound dollar, we missed the pivot. Dollar Canadian. Wait for the chart to load. But notice on the pound dollar, there weren't too many missed pivots. We took out the pivot this week, but there was a missed pivot last week. But on these weekly, notice how infrequent the misses are. We took out the pivot on the dollar franc. Here you see there was a missed pivot taken out the next. So there's a couple of missed pivots left for the year. The euro yen, only a few missed pivots on the weekly. And remember one thing, fellow traders, when you're trading the weekly pivot, it doesn't have to hit it for you to make a profit. Hopefully it just moves in that direction. And finally, back to where we started at the dollar yen. Price action, even with only 20 pip range, you can see price just does not like staying between any of these two lines. The wick zone, we didn't even touch the wick zone because we had that gap down and price went up, but it hasn't hit either the top or the bottom of the previous day's candle. Now, on looking at the weekly ATR and the daily ATR, you can see we actually hit the ATR, half of the ATR 4 minus the daily open when it went down. Got close on the way up. So once again, playing half of the ATR, good places to take profit, good places to look for reversals. So that's it, fellow traders. Light trading week. Next week will probably be more than the same. We'll have the yearly wrap up and we'll start the beginning of the year. So hopefully everybody will end the year better than they started it. And I hope you have a safe weekend this weekend. Probably going to go out and check out some sales right after Christmas sales. But just remember, be careful out there. And when you come back to trading, always remember, never forget, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So when you come back and drain the bank.